15 weeks since we started the challenge, but this one was a step back. Hey guys, welcome to the 15th episode of the challenge 5k to 100k. 15 weeks ago I started the challenge to transform $5,000 into $100,000. On the previous 14 weeks we had 12 greens and 2 reds, and spoilers alert, but this one wasn't a good one. As usual, we're gonna go through some hands and then at the end I'll show the results. Let's do it. Alright guys, so on our first hand we are playing the 1-2-4 and we have an open from a good regular on the button to 12, and we are on the big blind with ace jack off, and we decide to 3-bet 250. It's quite small. We are playing 200 straddles deep, so I believe that we should have gone bigger, but we went for 50 and he calls. The flop comes king 8-4 with 2 hearts. The king is not a heart. We have ace jack with the ace of hearts, so here I believe that is a texture that really benefits our range, so I think it makes sense to go for a small size. We went for 28 and he calls. The turn brings a completely brick, a deuce of clubs, and here I think when it comes a brick on the turn, and if it doesn't change much equity wise, I believe that we should polarize. So I think it makes sense here to go for a big size. We can put a lot of pressure on the 4x, 8x, and then 9s, 10s, and jacks. And also having the ace of hearts is a good blocker because it blocks continues from his side, but also give us the possibility to, if a heart comes on the river, to represent flushes, right? So we went for a little bit over pot, 1.1x pot, setting up stacks for river, and he decides to call. And now the river comes the deuce of hearts. So now pairs the deuce and it comes a heart. And here I think it's a good card for us to continue. Can wrap here flushes, 8s and kings. I believe that even aces with ace of hearts is a good candidate to go for value here. And then for bluffs, I mean, it's quite hard to find the bluffs here, right? It's going to be the ace X with the heart. Like it's going to be like the ace queen and the ace jack when we have the ace of hearts. So I think this is a good combo to go for it. We went for a shove and he tanks for a while, but unfortunately he calls with the queen 8. A little bit loose call, I believe. Maybe my image wasn't great on this one. Let me know what you guys think. So the next hand, really interesting one. We are playing the 1-2-4 and we have an open from the cutoff from a regular to 12. We are on the straddle with 10-7 off. It's a little bit loose, but on this structure with straddle and ante, I believe that we can defend. The flop comes ace, 9, 8, rainbow. Here we checked and decided to go for a really small size. He went for 25% here, and I think versus this size, we can go for a check raise with our combo. So we went for 4x, we went for 36, and he decides to call. The turn brings the 5 and brings the heart flush draw. So the 6-7 gets there, and 6-7 is definitely one of our combos that we're going to check raise, and I think here it makes total sense to continue our story that we have a strong hand, because even our one of our bluffs on the flop will get there, which is the 6-7, but then we still have the ace 9, the ace 8, the 9-9, the 8-8. We have plenty of value, so I think it makes sense here to go for a big bet. We went for 75% and he decides to call. The river brings a completely brick, brings a deuce of diamonds, so now hearts missed, straight draws missed, and here I believe for the same reasons that I said on the turn, we should polarize here now. We have a lot of strong hands now. We have the ace 8, ace 9, 8-8, 9-9, and all the 6-7. So this is tons of value combos here. And then on our bluffs, I think this is going to be one of the best bluffs that we're going to have, because he can still continue with the jack 10, right? So, and jack 10 is ahead of us, so we can still make fold all the jack 10s. We can still make fold. We don't have any hearts, so all the heart combos that's going to be ahead of us will fold as well. So I think this is probably the best combination to go for it. We went for 1.5x pot all in, and thankfully he decides to fold. Let me know what you guys think about this one. So the next hand, we are playing the 1-2-4, and we have blind war, so it's big blind versus straddle. We are on the straddle with king. The big blind is recreational. He completes to 4. Obviously here we went up to 20 and he calls. So he limped call and the flop comes 10, 7, 4 rainbow. He checks and here we have a clear bet. We went for 75% and he decides to call. The turn brings a 10 and open heart. So now pairs the top card, the highest card, and it brings a heart. And now he decides to go for a very interesting line. He went for a lead of 25%. For my experience, I think that recreationals, when they lead so small, they tend to have like hands that want to go to showdown cheap. With this bet, I thought he could have like a 7x, a 4x, maybe 7x with the heart, or maybe some straight draws like 8-9 that he wants to see as chip river. So I think that facing this bet, the best option would be to raise and to try to charge him for that and putting him on that decision with draws or with the pairs and maybe being able to put all the stack on the river. I think it would have very low frequency at 10 here when he goes for this size, so I decided to raise. So I went for 125 and he decides to call. The river brings a 5 of clubs, which is kind of a brick. The only thing that gets there is like the 8-6, which is a double belly, 6-3, I believe that is just a gut shot, maybe just the 6-3 of hearts. But the 8-6, yes, it completes the straight. But besides that, I think he's gonna have a lot of 7x. Maybe now with the 5 he gets a pair, if he had like a flush draw with the 5. And he went for the check, and I think here our hands still have merits to go for value. I really think that he wouldn't play a 10 like this. That's what I thought at the moment, and I think he still will have a low frequency of a 10 here. So I decided to go for a jam, thinking that he can have a lot of 7x and maybe sometimes a 5 or a 4 that he still not believes that I have a hand. And well, recreationals normally they pay more than they should. So I went for value here for a shove, and unfortunately he had a 10. He had 10-5, he made a full house on the river. He got me there. I'm not sure about this line. Let me know what you guys think. Alright, so the next hand we are playing the 2-4-8 and we are on the button with 3-4 suited. We open to 24 and the big blind, which is a good regular, decides to call, and we are heads up on the flop jack 8-3 with 2 hearts. We have 3-4 of clubs, and after he checks on this dynamic board, I believe that it makes sense to go for a bigger size or to check, and I think our hand really benefits here for the bet. When he just calls pre-flop, he never has like the stronger portion that connects with this texture. He can't have jack-jack or 8-8, and the only strong hand that he can have would be the 3-3, and we are blocking that. So instead of having 3 combos, he can only have 1 combo. So I think it makes sense here to start with the bigger bet. We went for 75% and he decides to call. The turn brings a king of clubs, so it's a really good card for our range. So after he checks, it's very good for us to start to go polar here. It makes sense to go big, and we went for a little bit over a pot size. We went for 160, really targeting all of the pocket pairs like 4s to 7s, 8x, and even some jack-x needs to start to fold here when it comes the king on the turn and we go for a bigger size. But he decides to call, and here when he calls, I think he's gonna have a lot of flush draws, maybe pair and a flush draw, maybe straight draw and a flush draw. The river comes a 9 of clubs. And in this card, I really think that the only combinations that improve for his range is the 8-9 of hearts and the queen 10 of hearts. And besides that, I think we can still have all our strong hands. We have all the sets. So we have jacks, 8s, 3s, we have king jack, kings, and then we still have the queen 10 that we continue bluffing and we get there. I really think that it makes sense here to put pressure on hands that he could beat us, like the 8x with the hearts, or king something with hearts, 9-10 of hearts, stuff like that. So I think it really suffers from us to go large here. So I went for all in, applying max pressure, and we found fast fold. Alright guys, this is the last hand, and I believe that is a super interesting one. So we are playing the 2-4-8 and I decide to open 10-10 on the gun to 24. The hijack, which is a strong regular, decides to 3-bet to 84, and everyone folds and we decide to call. The flop comes king 9-5 with 2 diamonds. We have 10s with a diamond, and we decide to check, and he checks back. So when he checks back on this flop, I think that he's never gonna have like ace queen, ace jack. Maybe for trapping he can have like kings, sometimes aces with the diamond. But yeah, then I think he can have a lot of medium strength hands like queens and jacks that he wants to check and to control pot. So, well, based on this, we go for a turn, and the turn brings the king of spades. So now I decide to check, and now he decides to go for a 40% bet. And now thinking about what I said before, the hands that he could be trapping would be king and sometimes ace, but now king is just one combo, right? And I still think that he can go this size with his queen and jack, and I really think that this is going to be the most portion of his range, and then sometimes aces. When he goes for this size, I need to think what is my range looks like. And my range when I open EP and I call versus a hijack is still gonna have some ace kings, the ace king offs. So that's gonna be 6 combos. Well, because 2 of the ace king suited I would 4-bet pre. So the ace king offs I would have as a call with some percentage of the time. And then I'll have the king queen suited, and that's another 2 combos. And then I'll have the 9-9 that most likely will be my bottom of pair range calling on this scenario pre-flop, and then I'll have 10s, jacks, queens. Considering this would be my range, I think that 10s will be the bottom of my range, that it doesn't have anything, right? 9s is a full house now, and then I'll have the ace king and the king queen. With that portion of my range, I want to play exactly the same and now raise, right? So I'll go for a check raise on the turn. So I'll have to have some hands that I will do that so I can balance. And 10-10 is the bottom of my range here at the moment. And I'm also, well, I mean, I will have ace queen and ace jack, but I prefer to unblock hands that I can make fold, that it will be the queens and the jacks and sometimes aces, right? So I really think that 10s is a good candidate here to balance with the ace king, king queen and 9-9. So I decide to go for a check raise. So I went for 247 and he tanked for a while and decides to call. And now the river brings offsuit 4. And here again, we are on the bottom of our range, and I think here we still have ace king, king queen, 9-9 that wants to jam here. We still put a lot of pressure now here on queens, jacks, and aces. Really tough for him to call if we jam. So we went for it. We went for the jam, and he tanked for a long time. He spent, I don't know how many time banks he did, maybe 3 or 4. And yeah, 4, and eventually he decides to call, unfortunately, with aces with the diamond. Really interesting spot. I mean, I like the way I play it. I'm not sure if it works against population. I think my thoughts were interesting, what I thought about, like on having the 10s bottom of my range, that's not blocking the portion that I want him to fold. I will have my value region that is going to do the same, so I have to find bluffs, and being 9s my bottom one, and 9s is the full house. The next one is 10s, and 10s is good to bluff because I unblock the jacks and the queens and the aces. Interesting line. I went deep on thought on this one. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe it's a spew, I don't know, let me know. Alright guys, now it's time for the results. So for this week results, we played 9,600 hands, around that. We played for 40 hours and we lost $4,702. Guys, this week was really painful. I mean, I did not play my A game, for sure. I did tons of mistakes. I wasn't playing focused. I went through the night, sometimes playing. Basically, I didn't have a schedule. I was not exercising. I really believe that that reflected on the results of this week. But it's good that we are aware of it. I'm going to change it for the next week. I'm going to come back to the normal track, that it will be to exercise, to have the schedules of the sessions, and let's see if it will change. For our challenge results, we played 133,000 hands. We played for 558 hours and our profit is $62,579. Our bankroll at the moment is $67,579. We also did a withdraw for 20,000. I believe that it wasn't necessary to have so much liquidity on the side for the games that we are playing, but if it's needed, then I'll put it back. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.